Okay, Ammo. We are live. Are you ready to get absolutely nuts?
Let's go berserk.
Oh,
Let's go berserk.
let's do it. On today's episode of Playing Small is Canceled, we have a very exclusive treat. He's a rock star in the private equity and hedge fund world with a staggering 35 years of experience and is the founder and CEO of the Legacy Fund. He's been at the helm of Ammo Investments since 2001, Big Backs. His journey started on the floor of the New York Mercantile Exchange and skyrocketed from there. But it doesn't stop at finance. He's also a dedicated philanthropist, martial arts instructor, fighter, and a true champion for those facing life's toughest challenges, which I deeply admire. Please welcome the dynamic, impactful, and multifaceted, the handsome and compassionate James Amorosi. How you doing, Amo?
Doing outstanding. Thank you very much for that beautiful intro. Very,
But
very warm. I'm ready to. I'm pumped up now.
we're gonna get berserk.
We're gonna go berserk.
That's a great word, by the way. We were
I use it
talking,
all the time.
same, and not too many do. We were talking before we hit record and went live. We have a lot of mutual friends. Seems like we're in similar circles. Heard some great things about there. And I'm so excited to go deep with you today. And for our community and listeners, and we're going to repurpose this on all our platforms. If you're not familiar with Ammo, do a deep dive, play catch up. We're just going to have a lot of fun today, hit on some deep topics. But before we dive in, I have a little icebreaker for you. Are you ready for me?
I'm ready, brother.
For you, what does it mean to live an authentic life?
That's a great question, and it's a question I ponder, and I pondered since I've been a little kid. I think living an authentic life means being true to yourself, and that's a little cliche, but what that means to me is, you know, we are almost at birth ordained with a mission, and a lot of people don't find that mission. I feel like if you can find that mission and pursue it with extreme passion, go berserk, make it happen, right? And you have extreme integrity. See, in all my businesses, there's one reason I'm in business with all the business people that I am with business: integrity. I love all my partners are family to me. So, having integrity at the end of the day, when you look at yourself in the mirror, you have to truly be happy in your spirit and your soul, who you are. So you gotta pursue. You have to, one, find who you are, pursue that, and stay true to it. And I feel like that is probably the most fulfilling life. Knowing and prioritizing life. Our greatest commodity is what? Time, right? It's the greatest commodity. So if you can live true to yourself and utilize your time properly, because we have a finite amount of time, life is beautiful. And I feel like I'm living that right now.
It's obvious, it's contagious, brother. And it's funny because it took me a while to live a truly authentic life. What I noticed, what I've experienced is that for most people, that's the toughest thing they could do is actually have the courage to show up to the world and be themselves. No judgment, no shame, and just own their stuff. And it's fascinating because it might be very tough, but I think it's also the most rewarding.
Greg, you said a mouthful. One of the passions I have, with the martial arts, right? I've been training in martial arts for 53 years. Okay, dating myself, 53 years, pretty much my whole life. And through that journey, and I studied very, very traditional styles of Japanese. I lived in Japan, and you know, there is a philosophy, in Zen where the expression is "go in, no show," right? Live without thinking, almost. And that's a human thing to say for a Westerner, right? Because we're talking about living with purpose, right? But there's a way to live that way where you get confident enough where you could become comfortable with yourself, right? And I got to tell you, man, it breaks my heart when I have friends who are not living to their full potential. Like I'm a fixer, okay? I'm a fixer. I'm Harvey Keitel in Pulp Fiction. I'm a fixer. Okay. It's a hell of an analogy,
Great
but it's
analogy.
true. You know what I mean? To encourage people to live authentically. I haven't found anything more powerful than the martial arts, other than someone who has a religious revelation, right? Martial arts is a powerful thing. It teaches you about thyself, you know, and and you're right, man. It takes time, and through our journey, we come to little roadblocks where we question ourselves, but through that adversity, that's when we really build the character, and
100%.
you know.
There's a lot of spirituality in martial arts, and I was going to get into this. I'm so pumped. For you, what's been maybe the biggest lesson or biggest takeaway that you've really applied to the rest of your life from studying, practicing, and utilizing martial arts for so long?
One word: discipline.
Yes.
The D's: dedication, desire, discipline. And discipline to me is the most. Anybody who's successful, anybody, you talk to any baller who's top of their game, discipline. They get up every day, do the same thing every day, right? I'm sure you get up, you go train, you prepare yourself mentally, you do a little meditation. That's what I do. I call it BOC, Breakfast of Champions. You know, the same routine, in and out, and people get bored of that. I thrive on that. I try to tweak it and perfect it. You know what I mean? Like I don't think anything's perfect. In all my companies, I do things very democratically. I vote on things. I don't come in and say this is how we're doing it. I vote. I want everybody to be on board, and I feel when you do that, it creates an inertia, and that circles back to what you're saying about discipline, right? You have to have discipline to execute. So for me, discipline is the most powerful quality that a human being can have, and from there, anything is possible.
Avo, you know what's so interesting, brother? Discipline is one of your superpowers. It's also one of mine. And interestingly enough, discipline is a superpower that is accessible to anybody, but most people can't get themselves to connect and tap in to that discipline. Why do you think that is?
Amen, brother. You know what it is, Craig? People in this, especially in the modern times, right? Where we're very distracted by technology, right? I feel like people don't hone in on processes that will facilitate them coming to spearheading them to a point where they are forced to stay focused, to be steadfast, be true to what you're focused on, and push yourself beyond all the distractions and all the insecurities and all the vices. Martial arts is such a powerful vehicle to hone someone. It makes the modest and meek a little more bold. It makes people who are too high strung, calm, peaceful, tranquil. And I think that people need to find processes that will facilitate them honing that skill. Like, again, getting up in the morning, right? Eating healthy. You go out, we eat out all the time, right? I mean, that, dessert tray comes by and you're like, you're salivating, right? You're drooling like Pavlov's dogs, and you want it. And, discipline says, you know what, I had one last night. I let myself one day a week to cheat. Don't do it. And I've been like that my whole life. Like I've been, I grew up in a really unique environment. I sit back and I don't know how I got here. The environment I grew up in. You could have went this way, and and there was only two ends. If you went to the right, I stayed to the left. And I think that people really have to find something that moves them. See, martial arts move me spiritually. And I'm not a overly tremendously religious person. I believe in God. I believe in there's no way. I see consistencies in the universe in life that they can't just be by chance. Somebody, something had to do with this. But I am very spiritual, and to me, the difference of the spirit is the man person. You interviewing me today, your spirit's coming out. Mine, you're bringing mine out, right? The soul's a little different, but I think people need to find something they're passionate about, and they can pursue and push themselves over the speed bumps and the adversity, because people quit, right? People quit. That's when you're going to have the greatest blessing. When you get over that hump that's in front of you and challenging you, you'll find something deep within you. The sleeper will awake.
Yeah. There's a lot of alignment there, brother. Like, I'm not super religious too, but very, very spiritual. And what you're talking to me about right now, I imagine, is being connected to your mission, right? It's one, and I saw a very alarming stat that only 20% of Americans actually find purpose in the work that they do, which is crazy. That means 8 out of 10 people wake up in the morning and they just go about their day. How important is it for you to be connected to the mission?
Oh my God. I get up in the morning for that reason. I mean, other than my family, right? I love my family. I'm old school that way. My family comes before everything. I tell people I live around my work. That's what I do, because I work 24/7. I mean, you hit me up on a Sunday. If I'm not doing something specific with my wife or my kids, I'll text you and I'll get back to you.
Same.
So yeah, exactly. And I feel like, anybody who's going to be a superpower, I call them superpowers. Anybody who's going to be a superpower really had a tremendous influence on people in a very positive way. Has to be that way. You don't shut it off. But, I feel like people don't sit down and find themselves. Martial arts is a journey about thyself, right? It's the good, the bad, the ugly. You confront it all if you take the true journey like I did. And in so doing, you find your faults and you learn to accept them and work on them. But you bridge off your strengths. And the mission to me is everything. I get up in the morning, like my team right now, like I haven't been this excited since I competed, like in martial arts, like that kind of like get up in the morning and rah, like that. I'm fired up in the morning when I get up, and, I can't wait to talk to my team. And all I do is talk about the mission all day. And our mission, we're money focused business, but there's such peripherals where and these peripherals are philanthropic, and they're facilitators to do good, to be motivated. People need to focus on themselves and just sit back. Life is tough, but if you sit back and take a moment and think about yourself, what you're great at, what inspires you, what motivates you, link onto that and grow.
Yeah, this is only place we could take this. I want to hit on all the exciting stuff that you're up to now, but I just real quickly wanted to ask you, because something you said, where you grew up in the inner city, not a lot of money. That's probably being polite, but you said there were two paths. What is the mindset required to be able to rise above and take the path that you did, brother?
Great question. Really great question, Greg. I mean, these are phenomenal questions. And I don't always get asked great questions. These are great questions.
Thank you.
Really, thank you. Two paths for me, right? Growing up in the inner city, it was a lot like the Bronx Tale where I grew up. The movie The Bronx Tale. I was that little guy, you know what I mean? And around a lot of crazy stuff, But in that crazy, we had that old world Italian upbringing. Even though I'm only half Italian, my other side's American Indian. It's a crazy mix.
Really?
Yeah.
That is a cool mix.
I should have pointed that out to you. I just, it's interesting. My mother's side of the family. Ironically, I used to call my grandmother Sitting Bull.
That's great.
But, growing up in this environment where, it was very stressful in terms of, survivability. you know, and it wasn't who had the nicest clothes. It was actually survivability, like, you know, to be rugged enough, to have the right attitude, the right spirit, to project your energy onto someone where they just, you know, back off. There's no friction, there's no confrontation. And, you know, the flip side of that was the family was so tight. Like all my family was there. You know, they spoke Italian. They, you know, we would eat, you know, these traditions were incredible. And, you know, that gave me such a base, such a foundation of who I am, you know. And, you know, the mindset has to be, you know, this is one of the things we're passionate about, right? With the DWFL, right? Dominic Wilkins Financial Literacy Centers, right? And through my martial arts organization, I have several different programs. One of them is a big passion of mine. It's called Sensational, right? It's like sensei. It's, you know, we cross the sensei and sensational. It's very, these guys go in and teach in the inner city, and they teach kids who are not, you know, as fortunate as like someone grew up in the suburbs, right? They're inner city kids, and you know, again, you know, who you surround yourself with, right? So you get into that mindset where it's not always a positive mindset. It's easy to get influenced in the city in a lot of bad ways. And, you know, on the flip side, if you can find out who you are and find something like I did, like martial arts is my besides my family, martial arts is my saving grace. I mean, without the martial arts, you know, I would have made that right. You know, I was a fighter. All I wanted to do was fight. Like all I wanted to do was fight, you know, and I grew up around, you know, a crazy environment, you know, Italian guys doing their thing. And, you know, my father always kept me away from that. And when I found martial arts, I did it 24/7. So I had a mindset where, you know, build myself at a young age, build my body, right? Build my body, build my mind, and my spirit will flourish. And I think an inner city person really has to dig into their spirit and their family spirit. And I feel like that can compel you and propel you out of the city, which is a vicious cycle. You know,
It's so good, but so relatable to me because a few years back, when I was at the end of my Wall Street career, before I reinvented myself, I was in a pretty dark season, a bunch of things happening at once, just wasn't in a good place. And I started running all these marathons, which I'd never been a runner before. And sometimes for anybody that's like kind of looking to find their way, there's a thing that leads to the thing, right? So all your success right now in business and all the legacy, no pun intended, and the impact that you're making on the world, if it wasn't for martial arts, there'd probably be none of that. And same with me with the marathons to what we're doing now. Oftentimes it's a vessel where you could find yourself, begin to cultivate self-belief, remove the doubt, and really build yourself up. And then those attributes that made you successful in martial arts are now transferable into the business world as well.
100% correct. You know, I'm a little strange. I've always been a little strange.
Love
You know, by the time I was 13, I read all of the great religions, and I was obsessed with like Zen and you know, and I read a lot of stuff. And in all the books I read, there was a constant, there was a consistency. Suffer and you'll achieve enlightenment. And it's a little crazy, right? You put yourself under stress, right? It reminds me of David Goggins, right? Everything's about pushing through, right? And he happens to be our client, right, at PMJ. And I had the pleasure of meeting Dave several times, and you can't help but love him. He is a savage. I love him. He's so true. You want to talk about genuine life, you know, living true to yourself. And you know, you have to suffer a little bit. It's at that time, the thing you went through a couple of years ago, right? When you were reinventing yourself and things happen, right?
Yeah.
Things always happen in life. I mean, I could tell you stories about the last 20 years. It's like, you know, they're crazy. And, you know, at the end of the day, I sit back and I think about this. Like, you know, I've had a lot of personal devastation. You lose siblings, it's devastating, right? It's devastating. I lost a brother, I lost a sister. You know, my brother passed away 20 years ago, and that had such an impact on me. It changed me. it changed the person. I never cried before that. Between the old school Italian and the samurai, self control. After that, I can watch a cartoon, and if it touches me, there's tears coming. I can't fight him. I can't fight him. I
I
can't fight him.
feel mush bowl myself.
Yeah, and Craig, I find that to be extremely human. I'm like a humanist. I'm so in touch with the human experience,
Same.
and I feel like you know things that come before us and challenge us, they really hone you, right? And they make you who you are. You don't let them break you. Just push through them, and you don't have a choice. That's why it breaks my heart to see people who in the street. It breaks my heart. Like I get broken hearted when I see people in the street because human beings judge, right? We judge. We don't know what that person went through to get to that point that broke them, and I don't judge anybody, and that's something that touches me. I really want to help. The biggest driver for me is waking up in the morning knowing I'm going to help somebody today, help people. The businesses, it goes macro to micro. The businesses are out here, but I know I'm touching people on a micro level. The martial arts for me, Greg, is we meet people 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s going through challenges at that point in their life, at that stage, and they find this vehicle, the martial arts, and it helps redefine their journey, like what you went through with the running. I love the fact that you did that because I used to do a lot of road work when I fought. I didn't say I was going to go run 5-10 miles. I'm going to run for an hour. I'm running for 2 hours. That is running to me as a Zen thing. It's 100% Zen thing.
It's my best connecting downloads. Yeah.
Right? You get through that point of suffering, you get through that point where you're peak suffering, and then it's almost like it just hits cruise, and there's no more. The pain is in place. You accept it. You're one with it, right? And you just go.
And so beautiful,
right? So I love the fact that you did that and you went through that. And I'm going to say one more thing to that point because I feel like it, to touch people, right? It's never too late to reinvent yourself. Never. Gary Vee talks about that a lot. I respect that guy. And Darren's very close with him, my partner, Darren Prince. Very close with Gary. He talks about Gary a lot. Gary, you'll hear him talk about it doesn't matter what age you are. I hear him say it all the time, as he's MFing, right? I don't care what age you are. It's never too late, right? Was it Colonel Sanders with Kentucky Fried Chicken was in his 60s?
Ray Kroc, McDonald's. Yeah.
I mean, it's never too late. Yeah. So, push, man, push through.
It's the mindset, and it doesn't take time. It just takes alignment, being connected to what you're doing, and I couldn't agree more. I'm actually training for the New York City Marathon now. Get married in 3 weeks, and then I have the marathon in November. I still have them now because people always ask me, 26.2 miles, don't you hate that? I'm like, it's not about the 26.2. It's about the transformations that ensue. The training, the going through it, just like you beautifully articulated, getting over the hump, accepting the pain. You could do this. What else can you do? It's just a beautiful thing. And I would encourage everybody, maybe martial arts isn't your thing or running marathons, but find something where you can really connect to and challenge yourself. And,
yes.
This just leaving your comfort zone creates miracles.
100%. Life is challenging, but you push through those points. You watch Goggins, run 100 miles, right? With like a broken ankle. See, that's the thing about him. Like, it's never normal. Like, he's a broken ankle. I mean, the dude is just, that's how I trained. Like, I trained in the martial arts it was beyond like Navy SEAL training. It was like torture. But man, let me tell you, I say this humbly because life can humble you, but I say it humbly because it has humbled me many times. I can't be broken. You cannot break my spirit. You can break my back. You can break my arm. You can break my bank account. You're not going to break me, my spirit. And that, I feel, is the greatest compelling force in the world, is your spirit. Like, your spirit to put tremendous podcasts on, to interview people with phenomenal research and, I mean, phenomenal questions. That's your spirit, man. And, that's conveyed, that energy, is transferred, and you inspire people, and to me, that's the most powerful force. You can inspire people.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't love this conversation more. Thank you.
My
Shifting
pleasure.
gears for a second, I want to talk about the legacy fund. I think it's a beautiful concept. I'd love to share with our listeners and so forth. What is the essence of the legacy fund? What is it all about? Why are you so excited about it?
Okay. So the Legacy Fund is a private equity fund. Okay. It is it's a unique fund in terms of, we focus on opportunistic investing, and we love, we love finance, technology, fintech, healthcare, wellness, consumer, AI, insurance we're in, hospitality, consumer goods. So these are some of the industries we focus on. But it's really my partners really make the fund extremely dynamic. So my partners, right? You got Dominique Wilkins, right? NBA Hall of Fame legend, right? Legend, right? Neek, just talking to Neek on a daily basis. Like, he grew up just like I did, grew up in the inner city, in the hood, fought his way out through basketball, discipline, right? Mindset. He is such a unique person and such a beautiful person. I went down to see him in Atlanta in the ATL like 2 weeks ago. We were hanging out. We spent like 6 hours. He's like, Ammo, this is the longest meeting I've ever had. It was crazy. But we had a marathon talk. Like, it was more about life. We talk about life, the kids, I have a autistic, a 14-year-old's autistic. He has 2 daughters that are, and, again, one of the things I'm passionate about, these other programs. So getting up and getting the opportunity to talk to a guy like him who's achieved such success, and yet he's so humble. Man, we walked through an airport, or we were in a hotel walking through. He said hello to everybody, and not just like a rush him. Like I'm in the middle of a conversation when he just fades away and starts talking. He embraces people, and he is a true inspiration. Dominique is a force that's going to be so powerful. I told him yesterday, I said, everything you've ever done has led up to this point. Like, this is, you're going to be next level on influence that you could have never dreamed of. He's what we call the ambassador for the fund. He's spearheading, he's director of athletics of the athlete division. And, with that component of the fund, we're going to take athletes in, celebrities, and statistically speaking, right? I'm an economist by education and an analyst by trade, and a trader and a PM. So I apply that to everything, and I had to do research. In many different leagues in professional sports, 80% of athletes, 80% of these ballers experience economic hardship, or go broke within 6 to 8 years. And that's more basketball. Football, and I just found this out yesterday from my dear friend, Blake Williams, that 90% of football players experience economic hardship within 2 years. When he told me this yesterday, we were supposed to talk for a half hour. We talked for an hour and a half. Yeah, it's just one of those guys. Like, I was pushing meetings off just because he intrigued me so much. Like, he's one of those guys like you. Like, I couldn't get off the phone with him, and he's like, Ammo, 90%. I go, that's got to change. That's got, when you can make it to an upper echelon of society like that, where very few people make that kind of money, and you go broke, you have not been properly educated. You haven't surrounded yourself with the right people. And that's what the component of the Legacy Fund with Dominique is all about. Taking these people in, educating these athletes, right? Teaching them about mindset, I'm going to get them positions. If they invest in a fund, they get positions in the companies that we own, whether it's a board of directors, board of advisors. It could be a GP position. It could be a representation position, a marketing position. But we're gonna really let them become whatever they want: entrepreneurs, business people, investors, right? And they can transition out from their career, like you were saying, into the next career. Because you think about it, right? As the wise old Darren Prince always says to me, my partner. We'll talk about him next. He's like, Amo, he said this to me once and it always stayed in my head. And it's probably, other people have said it, but he said it to me one day and it just hit my head. And I think he said it to me when we were in Hawaii with Magic Johnson having breakfast way back, like probably 25 years ago. And he's like, Amo, athletes die 2 lives. And I thought about that, and it hit me. It was profound. It was a profound expression. It wasn't cliche to me. It was profound. And I said, Dad, you're right. I said, I didn't experience that because when I came back from Japan, I went right into business. I started a business with a friend of mine and we sold it for, I had no money. I was poor, grew up poor, right? We sold it for like 4 or 5 mil. And it was all the money in the world, right? And I took that and just parlayed it into the next thing. Then I started learning how to trade and a lot of these athletes don't have that, right? So you're at this pinnacle where you're getting such a rush every day. Just going to practice, you're with these ballers. These are top, 0.5% of the society, right? You're with them. You've made it, and yet they're not being taught about financial literacy. They're not being taught about surrounding yourself with the right people, right? Having the right, going right back to what you said, mindset, right? Mindset. So we want to take them, teach them so they don't die 2 lives. Darren said they die 2 lives, right? So what do they do after their first career? They, a lot of them don't know what to do with themselves and they get into vices. You need to replace that rush, right? That dopamine rush. You need to replace it.
Their whole life up until now is being that athlete.
You're in the spotlight. You're a legend. You have all these things, and all of a sudden it's gone. It's gone. And in that same meeting, Magic had such a profound influence on me. I'll never forget it. We were in the Ilakai in the big island in Hawaii, and we were having breakfast. And I said to him, I'm like, I said, Magic, how did you really, what did you do? Like, after sports, like, I go, what do you do for fun? I work. What do you do for a hobby? I work. What's your leisure? Work. And I went, I could relate to that, right? So he took what he did on the court, right, and applied it to work, like what you said before. You alluded to that. A lot of them don't have that. And what do? They replace that rush with vices, gambling, drinking, and all the other stuff that come along with it, right? So if we can transition them, and Nick's been doing this for decades, right? He's still a VP of the Hawks. I mean, he's still in the game, this guy. I told him the other day, I go, Nick, I said this to him last Friday, I go, you're as relevant today and even more than you were when you were balling, because you're helping these young ballers not make any mistakes that all ballers make. And I said, I love you for that, And so he just waking up and knowing I could call him and talk to him about this stuff. And he and I are on the same page, I mean, his son, Jake, is 17. He's ranked like in the top 10 in the country, right? He's a senior. He's 6'11". He's going to be a 7-footer. I want him to take his father's spirit and transition into business. Don't have that stumbling block where you get stuck and it could go the direction, the 2 choices, right? And it all leads to net end result is the same, So I feel like, waking up and having that opportunity to work with Neek towards that end of educating high level athletes and celebrities too. And then Darren Prince, he's a legend. He's a mega agent, and he's a legend in his industry, in his field. He's been doing this stuff for 30 years. What's that?
Just a beautiful soul.
Oh my God. You know, I hear Darren does something to me that very few people have the ability to. That I'm a very serious person. Like I work and I dig in. Like it's like,
Same. Intense.
you know, and it's not always a positive thing because I could be so focused on what I'm doing. I don't engage with some of my employees or my people
I can relate to that.
personally, and they know not to take it. I'm just intense. Like there's an expression in martial arts, in the combat sports: train like you fight, fight like you train. Okay, and I don't. It's just like this is the closest thing I can come to getting in the ring. You know, like battling every day and trying to be strategic and and playing chess and trying to make the right moves and get the right people with us. Darren will make me laugh. I could be dead serious and he'll say something and me and him, when I tell you laugh, like I laugh like I'm a teenager. Like we were laughing hysterically this morning. It's the best. And let me tell you,
Priceless.
he is, I've known Darren for 30 years and he's probably one of the most kindest people I know. And again, making the Legacy Fund unique, his Rolodex, I call it the bullpen, his Rolodex, he has so many, he knows everybody in the entertainment industry. And he brings in such a tremendous amount of deal flow to our fund. It's incredible. Like he's a machine. He doesn't stop. And Darren is one of the most balanced people. He wasn't always this way, right? He had addiction, right? And I love him for that. Maybe if we get on another interview another time, I'll tell you some stories about me and Darren. I mean, so interesting. Like when I met him, he was doing that stuff, which I don't do. I didn't do it. I don't even drink. And I told him straight up, I said, Darren, if you continue, if I find out you're doing that stuff, I'll be blunt. I said, I'll kick your ass wherever we're at. I'll embarrass you in front of whoever we are. I said, you're not doing that shit around me. You're going to clean up and be the man you were meant to be. And you have this God-given talent with people. I've never met anybody who can meet somebody, nurture that relationship, and turn it into something powerful like him. I say that, and I know a lot of people who are out there, doing their thing. You talk about influencers. He is a force to be reckoned with, and he's a genius at putting people together. He puts me in front of people who, there's such a continuity, and we take that to the next level. And of course, Kevin Harrington, the original OG Shark from the Shark Tank. Yep. Kevin is a light of energy, man. He has energy on a level that you can't imagine. Kevin is a serial entrepreneur. I was talking about this yesterday, right? I told Darren, I go, Darren, do you understand he sold more than $6 billion of consumer goods direct to consumers? North of $6 billion as a person. It's off the chart. So, Kevin is at a stage in his life where he's really enjoying life. But man, I use him as my example. He's my benchmark. If I texted him right now, I'd get a text back within 3 minutes, if not 3 seconds. And nobody's more busy than him. He is the true, talk about these serial entrepreneurs. He is a true serial entrepreneur. He breathes and sleeps work.
We shared a stage together and spoke. I know you would think he's 30 years old, his energy.
The energy, right? But he has an energy and an ability to connect people. We're working on something right now, an international thing. And I would have never got this opportunity if it wasn't for him being partners with me. He has a pipeline that's second to none, and he loves people. Like he's a true definition of a gentleman. Like Kevin's a gentleman. So he brings so much to the table. He's such a great analyst. I can bounce things off his head, especially on consumer. Like he knows everything about consumer, like everything. You know what I mean? And he was instrumental in facilitating the soft drink Celsius's catapult
Crushing.
vertical, killing it. So that's something. Just being with my team, talking to them every day.
That's a hell of a team right there. It's like the Avengers.
Craig, it's funny. I'm going to tell you a quick story. All right.
Please.
I got to tell you this.
Let's do it.
Me and Kevin went to see a Hawks game with down see Neek, right? Dominique. We went in, we saw the owners, we're hanging out, and Kevin has celebrity, he's a celebrity in his own right. He's well known. And, we were, in the owners, suite and having, food and we walked out onto the court, and he looks at me, he goes, Ammo, if we didn't have these pictures and recordings, no one would believe we did this. And here's a guy he's at the top of his career, like the top of society, and he's talking humble. No one believe that we're here right now experiencing this. And it just hit me so deeply how humble he is. So I love my team, man. I get up in the morning with such vigor and such a, I'm full of juice. I'm like charged in the morning. So
you attracted these cats in your life, in your movie, if you will, because of the vibration that you give off, brother. I'm gonna acknowledge you for that.
I'm such a believer in energy and vibration.
Same.
And those old expressions, right? Be careful what you think, be careful what you say. I said to Darren the other day, thoughts are no different than words. They're no different than words. They have a synergistic effect that can really propel you or crush you.
100%.
You
have to be so intentional.
And like you said, people living that authentic life, not having a mission, living with that intention. I feel like anybody can have it. Like my passion through the fund. The fund. We want to make people a lot of money, right? That's our job. That's my job. But man, to see changes in the companies that we acquire or build, and to see people evolve, and to make such an impact on society. I don't think there's anything more powerful than that. Like there's nothing more powerful than that, other than the philanthropic stuff I do with special needs, I mean, that moves me on another level.
And on that, brother, I wanted to ask you before we land the plane, with the Sensational program and SNAP and all the philanthropy that you do. First of all, I love it. You're a beautiful soul. Why is that stuff so important for you?
Circle back to our original question, living authentically. My mission has always been to help people. Like since I've been a little kid, I've been a helper. Growing up, my parents were the same way. Like people would be living in our house. We would take relatives in, and not even relatives. We call them cousins, right? They would come live in my house, not for a week, for a year, 2 years, 3 years. And I think my parents' spirit, really impacted me on a fundamental level where I have to get up and know I'm going to help somebody. I'm all about helping. Life becomes boring to me if I don't have a purpose, a mission to help somebody or a company, right? Because I know the company's the macro effect. And I like that. The bigger, the better, because I know there's more people working there. I know there's more people going to be influenced, and I only like getting involved in projects that I know are going to have a tremendous impact on people and society in a positive way. You get to a point in life where it's really not about the money anymore. It's about the mission and the impact you can make. That's a legacy. Your kids looking up and saying, man, my father was a good guy. He really cared about people, and I almost get choked up saying that because I feel like everybody can have that mission, go find your mission. And I feel like when you have that juice to get you up out of bed in the morning, there's days I want to crawl out of bed, but I think about it, I'm like, you have responsibility, dude. You got things to do. You got a mission, God could take you tomorrow. Get it done today. There is no tomorrow. There's only the now.
Brother, I study different types of motivation, and the number one, the strongest source of inspiration and motivation is being connected to your mission. And nobody exudes that more than you, brother.
I appreciate that. Other than you. other than you, my friend.
Awesome, man. Um, Before we hop off, I have a couple of fun rapid fire questions, but real quickly
Sure.
for our community support, what's the best way for everybody to support? I know they're going to want more of a piece of you and support. How can they stay involved and see what you're up to?
Well, they can hop on the our website. Go to our website. It's called thefundlegacy.com. Thefundlegacy.com. You can hop on there. We have so many missions. I'll stick with that one email because I don't want to confuse people. We have so many different companies, but my martial arts, the PMG, and it keeps going, and the Harrington Group. I mean, everybody does powerful things, but the Fund Legacy, they can get in touch with us. They can hit us up. We get back. We'll get back to you quickly. We're doing a what I call the launch pad on our website. It's going to be for seed stage, early stage entrepreneurs who want to scale up, and I'm extremely excited about that. Because again, connecting to your mission, right? So they can hit us up on that, and we'll get back to them quick.
I love it, brother. Put all this stuff in the show notes. Before we hop off, a little rapid fire, maybe 1 or 2 word answers. Let's have a little fun. You ready for me?
I'm ready, brother.
Favorite movie?
Dune.
Wow. Okay, good. The recent one, obviously.
Yeah, but I read the books when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it actually changed my life.
Really?
Yeah. It changed my life. Discipline, the discipline of the Freeman, how they lived. I connected to that. I would read. I was a voracious reader as a kid, voracious. And I probably have 1,500 books in my library now. And Dune, I could have said The Godfather and all the other ones, but, Dune.
Okay.
Dune.
Second question, piggybacking off what you just said, your favorite book?
I got to tell you, I love The Art of War, and not for the war part. That's not it. It's really not about war. It's about contemplating life at each moment, each stage. There's something bigger than what you're seeing, right? We have this micro view. There's something bigger. So I love that, and I love the Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi.
One of my personal favorites of all time. When I first started studying personal development NLP, my teacher gave that to me. I was like, why am I reading this? And I read it probably 5 times. Unbelievable.
Great book. I mean,
I think a lot of people probably don't know about that one.
Yeah. It's another great one. It was around when I was on Wall Street, in hedge fund business. This is for leadership, right? Leadership Secrets of Attila the Hun. You never heard of that one, right?
I'm writing it down right now.
Let me tell you, it's these short little almost like proverbs. They're little Zenisms, boom. I found that so inspiring when I was really becoming an executive, how to think, how to be a leader, and powerful stuff. So
I love it. This is great. Okay, a couple more. Your last meal on earth would be?
Oh my God. I got to tell you, I just started eating meat again. So I would like a enormous Tyrannosaurus Rex T-bone steak with a lobster on each side. You know what I mean?
Sounds
And, garlic mashed potatoes, roasted asparagus with a little lemon and olive oil, and mushrooms. I'm good, brother. I'm good with that.
Perfect. Okay. Your favorite guilty pleasure?
Oh my God, chocolate.
Oh, same.
Chocolate. I just did that genetic testing, right? So I got that MT, the MFR.
Yeah.
I have it, right? So they give you all the foods you can't eat, right? And Darren's been telling me to get this for a long time. Brecca and all those guys, right?
Yeah.
I can't have cacao, chocolate. I'm like, you know what? I'll die then. I would have cacao, like organic cacao powder every day. I put it in my shake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I absolutely love chocolate, like a chocolate lava cake. bury me in it. I'm good.
Speaking to my soul right now, chocolate lava cake. My goodness. Okay, I love the alignment, by the way. By that. Okay, final one. Morning ritual essential.
BOC, breakfast of champion. Wake up the same time every day. This is a tough one, and I'm trying to overcome this, right? Because don't look at the phone. Focus in on you. Focus in on what you like to. I like to meditate for a few, just to clear my, get myself present, right?
Yep.
I like to train. I like to train fasted because I'm clear-headed, right? Maybe do a cold plunge, right? All part of the BOC, right? I like to do cold plunge before you train. That's more healthy, just so you know, right? And then train. When I'm done, I like to sit and kind of lament on my day. What are the three most prominent objectives for today? Because I get pulled in so many directions, right? I'm on the phone all day long, people grabbing at you. And I try to hone in on getting those three things done that are going to move mountains, move mountains. And it might be a micro thing that is going to have a residual effect like a tsunami. But those three things, and I like to focus on them as I go into the shower. I like to focus on them and almost use them as a mantra,
I love it. Say, what do I want to bring the world today? What do I want to be today? What else is possible? Just puts you in that frequency of thinking outside the box. Unbelievable.
And one other thing to that point, I lost a brother and a sister and a father to cancer, right? So cancer is a human experience for me that is.
Sorry to hear that, brother. My dad's battling now.
Thank you. And I pray for him.
Thank you.
I pray for you and him because you're going through it too. Your family. So, that when someone tells you you're sick, okay, don't ever think you're going to die. You push yourself. You believe your mindset. I've studied this stuff my whole life. You can overcome. I thought I was going to die in 2017. I got sick. I was in a hospital. I said, get them out of my arm. And I went out and started doing a martial art that I created. Right. It took a while, but I got healed. And don't think. And I thought I was going. And I never thought. I thought I was invincible at that point. Don't think that's the end. The C word. I call it the C word. Right. Someone hits you with the C word. You're like, oh, death. No. You're gonna live. You're gonna live. And and my dear friend Jim Poole, who owns a company called Newcom, they're neuro
familiar,
phenomenal. Huh? Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, familiar with him.
And the reason I name him, I'm not even plugging him. I'm being honest. He is such a genuine person. He and Darren and I were having a talk the other day. We were chatting. He told a group of people who were told, they have cancer and it's not a good thing, and he told them all, don't listen to anything you say. You're living, and he told them how to de-stress. So, get yourself in the right mind. Again, circling back to exactly what you said, mindset. What's the right mindset to get out of the hood, out of the city? What's the right mindset to get out of anything that pulls you down? Push through, believe in yourself, develop your purpose.
Choose a different narrative. What can go right instead of everyone focus on what can go wrong.
Yeah, 100%, right? It's so easy to be negative, right? Yeah. It's like walking down the street. It's easier to say hello to someone than it is to ignore him. And you could change someone's day or life just by saying hello. Just by saying hello to somebody.
You can literally change your reality today by changing the energy that you're bringing to the world.
1,000%. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard to be a huge influence on the people around you and people you don't even know. Love is the key. I was a warrior my whole life, man. It was always war. My brother died. Everything became love for me. Love. I cry with people now. I cry. I was at a function in Colorado 3 weeks ago with a big thing we got. Big announcement coming after Labor Day. But I was out there with this operation, and I was talking about my brother. I started crying. I don't even know these guys. They hugged me like Emma, we love you, man, for sharing that. Like it's empowering to see someone like you just open up like that. So love people, be positive, like you just said, right? Be positive. You know, you get caught up.
So we dropped the mic. Brother, this was unbelievable. I know that I'm a lot better for it. I know our listeners will be today as well. Hang up for 1 second. I want to connect with you after. I want you to know that your best is yet to come. Thank you so much, Amo, for stopping by today and dropping these priceless, juicy nuggets.
Thank you, my friend. Listen, true honor. I really happy to meet you. You know, everybody, Darren, everybody told me such beautiful things about you, and it's obviously true. You are in alignment, my friend.
Thank you, brother.
You're gonna move mountains.
Thank
Thank you for having me on. Really,
Just the beginning for us.
absolutely.